good morning, and welcome to a Thursday edition of the Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Proud to be sitting next to young Jake Nudelberg, Angel Shea. Boom! Welcome, boys.
Welcome. Happy Thursday to everybody. It is rare that I get to sit on here without my brother or Lori, so it is nice to sit with you alone, I will say. Shea, you're obviously here, but I think as everybody knows, you don't say much, so it is you operate the back room.
You want to poke Shea for a second. What's going on with the Marlins?
They're playing pretty good.
Okay.
Do they have a guy that's hitting 400?
Going into yesterday, 401, went 2 for 5, so he's back down to 398, which is not terrible.
Still insane. I mean, it's still
in other baseball news, go Gators. The Gators have made the College World Series, which the last time they made it, I was in college, which was a really fun run. I knew a bunch of those guys on that team. So very cool for them.
They might have won it probably the COVID year, which they started out like undefeated 20-0.
Correct. So they, I forget his name, the coach's name, but we always used to work out next to each other, and he is the most yoked up coach I have ever seen. Yes. Like we used to like share a weight room, and he used to come in and be absolutely jacked, just hammering weights in between their workouts. But now they have their own facility. But Dad, how was your week, or how has your week been so far?
Fantastic, man. I'm just coming out of a workout with you, so I am jaked, is what I like to say. So I feel amazing. I'm excited about having you on the show. Last Wednesday, you chose to play the role as part of the action team, the team that put the event together, but you did not do you were not part of the question and answer. So I thought today would be a good opportunity to sort of fire those questions back at you, questions that are, we talk about family, we talk about business, we talk about personal, we talk about it's 6 months into the year, what's working, what's not working. So Shea, wake this thing up so we can rock and roll and get right to the questions with Jake Nudelberg.
Wake up, everybody.
So before we start firing questions at you, I thought we would play some motivational music. And you and I have worked together the other day somewhere, and a Mark Knopfler song came up. If you don't know who Mark Knopfler is, he is the founder and creator of Dire Straits. Love their music. I think, Jake, you love their music too. And he wrote a song that mirrors my favorite saying, and Bob Goldfarb will tell you that I have it in a lot of my jackets. It is what it is, man. We're talking about 6 months. It's done. It's in the books. It is what it is. Give me Mark Knopfler.
Spilling out and staggering in the square. Lads and lasses falling about and they're crackling in the air. Then around the dungeon doors, the shelters in the queue. Everybody's looking for somebody's arms to fall into. It's what it is. It's what it is now. Oh yeah, there's frost on the graves of the monuments. The taverns warm in town. People curse the government and shovel hard food down. Lights around in City Hall, castle in the keep. Moon shines down upon it all, the legless and the sleep. Cold on the toll gate with the wagons creeping through. Cold on the toll gate, God knows what I can do with you. That's what it is. That's what it is now.
I love that song, man. I love, actually, a lot of his music is just that way. So, Jake, to open up the festivities this morning, it's been, a real cool journey for you. Give us, your 10,000-foot view of what's happening.
So I guess, are we only talking about the 6 months of this year? Are we talking holistically? Where put me in a guardrail of where I can operate.
Broad. Mark, I wanted 6 months because we've already done reviews. But for you, I want some comments on transition. People go through transitions in their life. So go from where you were, what you were thinking, to how you wake up every day.
Well, I think, I'll start with this. I think being great and the choice of personal development, and we were just on the call with Michelle yesterday who said, I want to get better. I think it goes back to everything being a choice. Everything you do in your life is a choice, whether you want to be great, whether you want to wake up early, whether you want to do the things that'll feed your priorities. It comes down to choices. Now, sometimes they're out of your control, but I made a choice when I was 18 to go pursue a career. I spent 5.5 years dedicating my entire life to a previous career. Some people know that, some people don't know that about me. So I left college completely different than most kids, or most young adults, or however you want to quantify them. And I was burnt when I left football. I was burnt trying to be great. I was burnt trying to please people, my social battery, everything about me. The pandemic had happened. So much uncertainty. And I came into an environment that demanded greatness and demanded growth. And that was extremely tough. And not along with that, two incredibly big personalities that were, for the lack of a better term, just coming together to form a company. Mark was really excelling. He was really starting to make a name in the marketplace. That left a lot of uncertainty about what my role was, what it would be. I don't know that we really quantified or, really crystallized in detail what my role would be here, what my role would be in the community. I don't even know that we really knew what we were going to be as a company, which way we were going to do. And so I didn't have it in me to figure that out, but I made a post yesterday about the dots connecting and you have to trust it. I've always trusted, and you've taught me this, when you hang around the right people and the right people doing the right things will happen, right? And I've always learned through watching, and I've learned through just being around. And so the last 2.5 years has been such an eye-opening experience, equipping me with the knowledge that I need to succeed, crystallizing what I really want to do, what I'm good at, what I'm passionate about. And so we'll get into kind of the nitty-gritty, but I think it's been a really cool journey to figure that all out, kind of find my own voice in the process, and then try to help On the Ball grow along with the Get Jaked business on the side. So it's really been a crazy journey over 2.5 years.
So, I come at you a couple of different ways. I come at you as a proud dad, and I talked to this, I talked about this with Mark, so I'm a client of yours for coaching, right? We live together. We work together. Give some insight into the family dynamic, because I know that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, but it's not always sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, I think it's easier and it's tougher. So I'll say it's tough because you have to deal with personalities and you kind of have to switch on and off from being a father, from being a brother, from being a son, to being an employee, to being in a business conversation, and knowing the ins and outs of how you react a certain way, the way you like to operate. But at the same time, it's pretty easy because, well, at least for us, I don't know if this goes for every family business or families, we're not going anywhere. We're not going to allow this to damper our relationship outside of work. I don't no matter how bad it got, at the end of the day, your initial is tattooed on my body. I am your son. you can't get rid of me no matter how hard you try, and vice versa.
There's no
And so
firing Jake Nudelberg, right?
well, it's just, so that's the thing is I go, it is easier and you have to find a way to make it work. Whereas when you're not family, you can get out of situations a lot easier, the locked in ability. So that's a positive and a negative, but it's been fun because you get to share in all of your accomplishments with each other in all ranges, and it's always on display, which is much different than what I came from. Was, yes, we were happy as team goals, but like my individual achievements weren't, so they didn't care. Yeah, they cared, but like they didn't care the same way a family member would care. And I would have to call you and tell you about my accomplishments, and you wouldn't even really understand fully what that meant or what that meant to me or in that setting. So it is cool to have that in your corner, but it is tough, and we fight. Like, look, it's tough to deal with you 24 hours a day, but I'm finding a way to do it. I think vice versa.
So you have brought a tear to someone in the audience. Welcome, Callie. It's always great to have you along for the ride. So, we live in a world where they keep score, and I try and tell this to people all the time that, you can't just disregard the scoreboard. You got to look. And so, your journey, you can do it from start to now or from January to now. I know I hear all the time, wow, Jake has really like come into his own, which is, I see that, but like you've had it all along. So grade your accomplishments. Talk to us about what are you the most proud of right now?
Personally, I'm proud of my growth. I'm proud of where I'm at as a person, where I'm at with what I mentioned before, what I know, what I'm passionate about, the things that I know that I'm good at. Where I think when I left, when you get into football or you get into a new job, you don't really know, if you're going to be good at it unless you've been watching it. And I operated in a world that doesn't exist in the business world. Like football coaching is its own nucleus that exists and operates on its own with its own people, with little regard for what's happening in the outside world. So even though I spent 5 years really grinding and working and having a profession, I didn't know what it really took to be successful in business, what the successful ones did, the way they talk, the way they operate, the way they think, the way they are process driven. And I think so much differently now because I've watched so many different companies go about it. Me and Mark talked about it. Like us being involved with so many different companies and industries has opened up our eyes as a holistic thing of business, of how you should operate a business and the way you should grow your teams and the way your processes and your leadership ability and all those things. And so I feel so much more confident in conversations with people because I know the way it should look like, I know the way it should sound, and it allows me to kind of put my own spin on it and give my opinion in a way that I think is very valuable to people.
So I love that. You use a word.
I also want to say I didn't prepare for these questions at all, and I didn't even look at these questions. So just put that out there.
Didn't know they were coming either.
Right? Yeah.
So and I really have sort of a design on where I want to go, but it's loosey goosey. You mentioned the word confidence. Can you quantify where you were to where you are in terms of a number, a scale, a specific? Because confidence is, I think, what drives the world. I think to be who you are genuinely supposed to be takes a lot of guts and a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm gonna do it holistically because I think it's easier, because I think it's been I would say it was a 2-year journey to get me to January, and then January to now has been an absolute rocket ship, in my opinion. I would say a 7. I would say a C, and the reason I would say that is because I came out unwilling to apply myself. Like I didn't have it in me to do more, to try to learn, to try to ask questions, to give my opinion. I wasn't willing. I wasn't in a place mentally. I just wasn't ready for that. And that's my fault. I mean, that's my fault for allowing myself to get there in football and not having other things that energize me and building my entire reputation and personality on the fact that I coached football at a young age and excelled at it and blah, 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 blah. So there was a little bit of that identity crisis when I came out. And then I was scared of you and Mark. I was scared of your guys' personalities. I was scared of being different. I was scared of doing things a little bit differently than you guys did. And I finally got to the part where I was like, I am different than you guys. I don't think the same way. I don't want to operate exactly the same way. And that's what makes us unique. And I think it's helped On the Ball as a whole move forward, get better in our processes in the way that we operate, and not being afraid to speak up. So if you want to ask me in the last 6 months, I would say I would put myself at like probably an 85 or higher, like a B plus. Like I've been reading, I've been learning, I've been asking questions, I've been applying myself. I opened a side hustle. So that's good. But for the whole thing, I would say a C. Very average early on, and then have decided.
I love the humility. Chris Pollock, who I love his take on everything. It's a lifelong learning process, man. What you have learned in the last 6 months will continue to, but you've allowed yourself to learn. And I think that is the big takeaway listening to you, is that learning is not something you just flip on and off. You need to be open to it. You need to be open to change. Wow. And I think your mindset shifted to, all right, I'm not going to do nothing. I might as well be here and sort of take the best of the best and make it my own.
And I think that's what made me successful very quickly at football was I was unwilling to just accept the fact that I was a student assistant and that was a limiting role. Like I reverted back to, I haven't been in business, so what do I have to offer? Who wants to speak to me? Who wants to hear from me? Why do my ideas matter? And the more I stopped caring, the better I got. And as kind of backwards that is, but I had a call with somebody who's in our GOTB platform community, training community, and she was struggling with the fact of being different from the other people in her marketplace. And she was like, well, there's not a lot of examples and stuff like that. And I've gotten to this point. If you can't accept who you are going to be lost for a very long time. And no matter what thing you do, it doesn't matter. Like the quicker you just accept the fact you are a certain way, you operate a certain way, and now you can try to change it. But to your core, know who you are and use what God gave you, whoever you believe in gave you, to be successful and find what energizes you and you're passionate about.
I love that. And I think I saw the results yesterday of that call that you had. That person posted this morning as raw and vulnerable as I have ever seen her. And I know her a long time. So
very cool.
To you. Shout out to Mark, who's listening on the way to the airport. So, you started the conversation about, building your own voice with me. I think Mark had that challenge, because he didn't want to be Steve's son, and then you come in and I don't want to be Steve's son and Mark's brother. So what have you done to, plow through that?
What have I done? Just speak up. Be willing to speak and own the ramifications of what comes from it, and know that maybe I'm not a fit, and know that there will be something else. And so that was my problem, was I created my entire identity on what I did. And I kind of inverse that. I want my personality to shine through what I do, not the other way around. And so that's kind of been the change that I've tried to do, is own my personality in everything I do. Own the way I think, the way I operate, the way I speak. I started changing, like I was morphing my messages differently. I'm going to talk the way I want to talk. I'm going to speak the way I want to speak. And it has led to more people coming up to me going, your growth is unreal. And so being just true to myself, like, well, who was it? Joy Linsky said to me, she goes, I'm so happy you came out of your shell. And I was like, wow, that is insane that somebody would say that to me, because somebody who knew me in my personal life would never say I have a shell, right? Would never say that I'm in a shell, that I'm a shy person. Like I was one of the best recruiters at Florida. And so I'm reading the comments. Thank you, Ed. I love you to death. Ed's so the man. Ed is absolutely the man. But I think another change, and I said this when we were talking to RCC, is everybody wants to separate personal and professional. It's easy. Oh, well, this is professional and this is personal. I stopped doing that. It's just my daily life, and it all feeds into this mission, and my mission is development. I found that I get a lot of enjoyment from watching people develop and trying to speak in different terms to help them understand and connect with the message we're trying to say. And I feel really rewarded when I do that. And so I've just started pursuing more of that and finding and trying. But you have to take care of yourself or you'll never be able to continue to grow. And so burnout is real, and you have to find other things that energize you and bring you joy. So
harder question. Biggest disappointment since you've been on board?
Wasted time, maybe. You know, I hate wasting time. Like, I hated the end of high school. Like, I remember telling you, like, I hate the second semester. See, like, this was, I don't know, 8 years ago now, you know, but I was like, this is a waste of time. Like, can I just go? I want to go work. I want to work. And I just reverted so far back, trying to compensate, right? Which is, I think, another really interesting lesson was I tried to shift the pendulum just completely other way of being like, well, I cared about work completely. So if I did that for 5 years and it ended up leaving me miserable, maybe I'm not going to care about work at all. What if I just said I don't care at all and operate that way? Guess what? That also left me miserable. So I think it's finding that balance and going through it. But sometimes you have to go through the trials and tribulations in order to learn those lessons and hope that one day that the dots will connect, or hope, or whatever. Hope isn't a strategy, blah, 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 blah. But just really cool, the things that have presented itself, the people that have presented themselves, being more selective. Another disappointment, I was too, just everybody can be in my life. I say no more. I'm more selective with the people. I choose to be around certain people. So it is a gift and a curse.
A couple more questions. Favorite book over the last couple of
subtle art of not giving a fuck. I mean, stop giving a fuck. Seriously. Like,
so many fucks to give.
Right. It's exhausting when you care about everything and the way they think about you and what you do. And look, I know you recently had a friend pass away, you know, and as I get older, I've had some trauma and I'm gonna be very vulnerable, but like, death is something you should know. Like, you should keep that in your mind because it can come at any time. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter the situation in your life. Everything that is so important can instantly become not important at all. And so make sure the important things that you're focusing on truly are important, and don't lose sight of all the other things.
Last question. First of all, Jonathan Ahrens, thank you. Where in the world is J.A.? I don't know. He's in Austria or somewhere like that.
Yeah, Scotland. I think I just saw it. Those are, yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. So my last question is, outside of somebody with a last name Nudelberg, biggest influence in your career in this last little time?
It's a really good question.
I do this for a living.
Right. The biggest influence on me. Ed Dykes would be one. Really enjoying my time with him. Jerry Latrento. Casey Della Penna would be another one. And if I'm missing you, I'm sorry. But I would say those three. Those three.
So just, I want to give a real-time example of your growth. And you mentioned Jerry, which opened the door to this. So you call him Uncle Jerry. I've invited you into some meetings with him where you just sat there and had the opportunity to sort of listen, which is a great way to learn. And then Jerry, in his infinite wisdom, said to you, what did he say?
What have you learned today?
What have you learned today? So
there's certain times when you know you need to pay attention. I think like the bells start to go off in your head, or you should be aware, you know, when you're in a room that is special or you don't belong in. Be sure that you're ready to give feedback, you know, and be ready to be called upon and give your opinion. Like, I remember the first meeting, this will be the last thing I say, but I remember the first meeting Dan Mullen was like, we had a staff meeting, and I remember he like asked me a question, and it like threw me like for a loop, because I had never been like asked like a meaningful question, and he asked me, and I like gave my unbiased opinion, and to this day I'll say that's one of the, I think my personal best trait is that I'm unapologetically me, and it's either going to work or it's not, and it worked in that situation, and I earned respect. And I think same with Jerry, I do the same thing. I speak, and Lori, yes, I love Tori. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I knew that was going to happen. I really do. Andy Hill is another one. The coaching clients are absolutely unreal. Just everybody I've spoken to, really, in the last 6 months, I would say has played an impact on my life, because I'm more transparent. I'm more open. It's awesome.
Do you have time for overtime? I mean, we're way over.
I got plenty of time, man.
All right, Shay, give me some overtime, will you? Sorry, there's a couple.
And we'll go to overtime.
So this will be a little self-serving, but I think it's important. So you grew up in a entrepreneurial family. You know, you saw the roadmap. We're doing an event coming up in July. It's a virtual event. I'm so thrilled. Sarah, amazing job. We have 50 seats sold. There's only 100 that will allow you to get in. If you want to sit in on real learning, it is Principles of an Entrepreneurial Mindset. 2 authors sitting there. I think based on today, we're going to change it and make it 3. But my question to you is, what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
Taking ownership of your actions would be my answer. And that goes for every avenue of your life. I think entrepreneur is a business term, of owning your own business or operating your own business. But I think everybody needs to have an entrepreneurial spirit in a company. Like, take ownership of what you're doing to help the company, to help yourself, to help the people around you. Ask questions, be aware of what your priorities are, push back on priorities that might not fit into what is currently happening. I know shit gets shoved down, in these corporate companies, but constantly operating for the best interest of you while keeping in mind of the company would be my answer to that.
So I think, Jonathan, you hit it right. Jake's going to, we're going to have Jake write his book. He will be a co-author. He'll be in Scott McGregor's upcoming edition. I forget even the name of the book now.
Standing O.
Outstanding O, right? There you go.
Standing O.
Standing O. Anyway, Jake, I think you did a great job. I'm super, super proud of you. I think when we do that virtual event, I'd like you to have a segment. And Lou said that when we do the next live one, which we talked about in our meeting yesterday, that you need to have your segment as well. So thank you for being open, honest. Thank you for being the genuine you, because you are special. Last question, and then we'll close it. When you are an outlier, which you're 25, and you're an outlier, you are not like other 25-year-olds. How do you deal with that?
I'd like to tell you that's an easy thing. I would like to tell you that that's a thing that you can just decide to do. I think just like anything, it's flexing the muscle and continuously to make the choices that are surrounded with that purpose. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you just keep doing it and build the muscle, just like working out or just like selling or just like any other skill.
You make me a very proud dad, sir. Have an awesome day.
I thank you guys for listening. Always, it's the fact that anybody wants to listen to me is always mind blowing to me. So I appreciate you guys equally.
Reach out, have a virtual coffee with Jake. Tomorrow, we have another amazing entrepreneur. Our partner who lives in Ireland is at another show for the Moby Tech business. So he'll be talking to us all things mobile and technology. Sean Flood is an amazing human being. I'm thrilled to have him on. So he's our huddler in the hot seat. Make sure to be here tomorrow. Be square, get on the ball, and get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this, so So let's get down to business.